Willpower Zone with Will Barrett.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back for another exciting episode of the Willpower Zone. So I hope you get a lot of all the episodes and everything else, but we have reached, of course, 2024. So we have an amazing topic today. It's really how to get in alignment with the universe for 2024. So we're going to go over a couple different points today, and then we'll wrap it up with some closing remarks and closing points that I have. So one of the first things that you want to do when it comes to getting in alignment with the universe for the new year is really coming down to what we call intention. So you might say, well, what is intention, right? So intention is really, in many cases, for us, pretty much putting a target on the things in which what we want to do. So this may be in the form of goals that you have. This may be in the form of aspirations or things you're wanting to accomplish for this upcoming year. So these are intentions. These are the things that we really want to set our minds towards, and we want to really see, come into fruition, and really, come to something that basically we can actually produce. So, I'll give you an example. So for me, one of the goals that I have especially is to increase the amount of content that I'm putting out there. So I want to be able to reach at least, 10, 20, 30, 50,000 people, especially even before the end of the year, especially, that will, of course, hear my message and be able to get something out of it so they can really take hold to, how it can really improve their lives. So that's a big goal that I have. That's an intention I have. So what's going to come from that, right? It's going to require me to, of course, to put out a lot more content. It's going to require me to, basically 10x everything that I'm doing in each and every area. So then more and more people can hear the message. So as you can see within that example, that's an intention I have. That's a goal that I have, and it's going to require some action from me. Now, one of the things, especially, that what happens for a lot of people is they may have intentions, they may have goals, aspirations, and things that they want to do. But underlying all of that, what they don't realize that might be blocking them from that very thing that they want is underlying intentions or beliefs that are counteracting their true intentions. So you want to be mindful about that. You want to make sure that you are clear of all of that, clear of any disbelief or any doubts or anything like that. So then you can actually be able to see things actually being produced, and you don't have conflicting activities or actions that are getting in the way of your goals. So you want to be mindful about that. So let's get into the next point. So the next thing, especially, it all about alignment and really getting aligned with the universe or God or Allah or, whoever, however you may call that person, Most High. It doesn't really matter. It's also our thoughts. So remember, especially our thoughts, we have at least, 50, 60, 70,000, if not more, thoughts that are running through our mind each and every day. And for a lot of them, they're reoccurring thoughts. And for the most of the time, they're also negative. So it's not to say, of course, we're negative, but it's just negative thoughts, things that, of course, that we're ingesting, from, whether it's news or a multitude of sources, different things that may be kind of being ingested, whether we are conscious of it or unconscious of it. It really doesn't matter. So these thoughts, mind you, are in many cases kind of like the signals that we send out to the universe to tell, to basically kind of say, hey, these are the things that I'm thinking about. And in many cases, these are things that I'm kind of wanting to bring towards myself. So this is why it's so important. You must control your time. You must control basically what's being ingested, what's being listened to. You must take a hold of that, because you want to make sure that what the thoughts and things that are running through your mind are positive. You don't have to, of course, make it to where all of them are going to be positive, because, that's just, it's not to say it's not possible, but basically you're going to have to deal with kind of the higher and the lower. Kind of the thoughts that, of course, may not need to be there, but the thoughts that really need to be there, this is why you have to be very vigilant on making sure to listen to positive things, whether it's, music, podcast, audiobooks, whatever it is, it's going to help you get into the mindset that give you the thoughts that you need to send out the signals so that you can get back what you, of course, wanting in terms of the results that you want. You want to make sure to do that. And the thoughts really are kind of the thing, the vehicle that kind of drives then the feelings and then the actions and then the results, okay? All right, just jump into a big one, which is, of course, something that's a big passion of mine, which is law of attraction. So if no one's ever kind of explained what law of attraction really is, it's just basically, in many cases, basically talking about being the frequency or being the vibration that you want to then be, and then in terms of course the results that you're wanting to see. So for instance, if you're like, oh, well, I want to be a multi-millionaire, well, you know that you of course have to vibe with the frequency of being a multi-millionaire in order so that you can then be able to attract the opportunities that's going to then lead you to the opportunities of then being a multi-millionaire, right? Now, if you're the type of person who says, oh, well, I don't want to do all that work and everything, you want to kind of what basically, what coin phrase that everyone uses, all fake it till you make it. Well, you can do that for a period of time and it may even actually work, but guess what's going to happen? You're not going to maintain it. So I'll give you a big blanketed example. So people who win the lottery, right? People who win the lottery, a lot of times for them, they come into this particular money, and what happens is that because they weren't necessarily a vibrational match, using a law of attraction here, they are not going to maintain it, and guess what? They're going to have actions that's going to say so. So for a lot of them, they end up giving the money away and actually being in a worse off spot than they were before they came into the money that they came into. So understand. All right, so let's get back into it. So to just kind of wrap up, especially this example, when it comes to really utilizing law of attraction. So when it comes to those lottery winners, they a lot of times give that money away because the belief was never there. They were never a vibrational match to the millions that they came into. So for a lot of them, they end up being just in the worse off spot and they end up spending the money rather than actually working to actually maintain it and actually grow it. So yeah, you can work to try to do all the things you want to in terms of fake it till you make it and everything else, but at some point you want to be a match, therefore, with the things in which you aspire to do. Because then at that point you can then maintain it and then it becomes kind of as a permanent change. So no matter what the goal may be, wanting to become basically, a 7-8 figure, earner, per year, whatever that goal may be, you want to make sure to vibe with that onset result or goal that you want to get to. So then all the things start to align and match up with your actions and everything. So then, when it happens, then one, you're not shocked by it, and two, you'll know exactly what to do to maintain it, okay? So let's get into the next point. So some of the practices that you can do in order to stay in alignment with the universe. One of the biggest things that I, of course, pride myself on is meditations. A couple other things you can do, especially, is just having time of gratitude. You can also journal, which is also a really good tool to use, and then also visualization. So I'm a really big, firm believer, especially it's a tactic called active meditation, or really in many cases active visualization. So one of the things that I do, especially in order to help me to really create the dream life that I really want, is by way of doing a strenuous activity. So let's say in the form of cardio, which is tends to be sometimes a little bit of my bane in my existence, but for everybody, it's a kind of love-hate relationship, because especially you got to burn the calories in order to get the results that you want and be able to turn down and look a certain particular way. But of course, time passes by anyway, so you got to get the work done. So one of the things I usually do, especially during that time when I have to get my cardio done, which is usually in the morning, is taking that time to visualize exactly what I want to see for myself for the upcoming year, for the next couple years, whatever it may be. I take that time to visualize that. So one of the things I did 3.5 years ago was I visualized myself being in a totally different new environment, being by the water, being in a particular place where everything was bright and vibrant, and it was a place, of course, next to the element by the water. I'm an Aquarius, so this is the element basically that speaks most to me. I visualized that for 3.5 years over and over and over again, especially during my cardio sessions, and seeing myself in that position. And lo and behold, 3.5 years later from the time when I first had the visualization and the pictures that I wanted to see for my life, I ended up in that spot. So this is why it's so important to really be able to take the time to be able to meditate, whether that's 10, 20, 30 minutes. If you have the time to do it, great. But even if you have 5-10 minutes, it goes a long way, because it quiets the noise within you. And instead of you, of course, having to project all the things that are outside of you, you get a chance to just listen for a moment and internalize, and all the affirmations get the chance to basically pretty much wash over you with internally. So then you can start to vibe and start to match, because any place or anyone that basically has a sense of gratitude and purpose and a sense of peace and calmness is just like, in many cases, the stream that doesn't have any resistance. So the universe operates in a way to where basically the fastest between 2 points is a straight line. So it operates off of no resistance. So if it sees someone that is connecting with a thing that basically has no resistance, then it's going to then, in many cases, send a current, send a flow in that particular direction. But whenever someone is at a point where they are in many cases restricted, or they are in a place of tension, in a place of non-gratitude, compassion, love, peace, whatever that may be, then what happens is then there's a delay. So you have to free yourself up, and meditating, journaling, kind of getting everything out allows you to be able to do that. Okay, so a couple of the closing thoughts that I have, especially when it comes to aligning with the universe. So one of the things is that that it requires for a lot of us to do is embracing uncertainty, embracing the unknown. And this is where a lot of the magic begins. And a lot of times we might be given the vision, but not the pathway to be able to get there. And we have to be okay with that, because we, in many cases, create that path. We create our own destiny. And that's the part basically where you want to be able to take control of, especially in this upcoming year, which is going to be so important. And the other thing also too is just being able to see the signs, right? You got to see the signs and opportunities to be able to see when there's something just a little bit that it goes beyond the ordinary that's happening, and all the different synchronicities, and you got to pay attention to that, because that means usually that you're on the right track. It may not always seem like it, but you know deep within yourself, if you go to your gut and it's like, I know I'm on the right path, it just doesn't always feel or look like it, then and also you got to also know, especially if you're being challenged in any way, particular way, and you're tasked with basically just stepping forward, even though you may not know how it may turn out, then you know that you're in alignment, and you're being led by something that is above you, or your higher self, because it's going to challenge you to become the version that you're meant to be. So I hope you got a lot out of today. I hope this is going to help you, especially in this upcoming year, because there's going to be a lot of things that are going to be changing for all of us. And I wanted to just make sure to kind of give you some insights and pointers and tips that's going to help you for this upcoming year to be successful and to challenge yourself. And if you're the type of person, especially if you're wanting to finally take control of your future, I have a free training that I'm doing, especially in about 2 weeks or so, that's going to be on a Friday. It's going to be at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's going to be free training, Overcoming Your Fears. It's called From Fear to Fearless. It's my program that really helps people basically take control of their future once and for all by way of empowering themselves through entrepreneurship. So for all of my people who are entrepreneurs, digital nomads, content creators, former or current athletes, this is for you, okay? And then also, especially, if you got a lot out of today, make sure to like and subscribe, and also, leave us some comments, especially, when it comes to, on the channels part for Spotify and as well as for YouTube. But we will see you next time for the Willpower Zone. Have an awesome day.